This week on the WriterCon podcast,
it would be to trust your own taste. You have been honing your taste for decades as a reader for your entire life, and you can trust that when you're writing. So don't try to write to someone else's taste, write for your own taste.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Your hosts are William Bernhardt, best-selling novelist and author of the Red Sneaker books on writing, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland Files book series.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. Thanks for joining us today. It's getting close to Halloween, right? So I have dressed appropriately in orange and black. I'm wondering what costumes will be popular this year. I, of course, thought about dressing up for Superman, thinking of my new book, The Superman Wars. Problem is, I would have to buy like that chest padding that George Reeves used to wear in the old 50s television series. And plus, there are no Superman candies. I suppose I could hand out my book to trick-or-treaters, and they would probably throw it back at me and ask where the candy is. So maybe not. Lara, how are you costuming this year?
How? I'm not sure I've made a final decision.
What?
I might do Morticia Addams again.
Morticia is good. You're a natural.
The last time that I dressed as Morticia, no one seemed to know who I was or what I was doing. But I think with Wednesday being out and popular on Netflix, that I might actually get recognized this time.
I tried to do Gomez, but I don't think anyone was convinced. Probably because I don't have the mustache.
Maybe.
Jesse, how do you and Michelle celebrate Halloween?
Well, this year we're actually going to be in Vegas for Halloween because we're seeing that live, D&D playing comedians that we like, and so we're gonna do what's called casual cosplay, where we dress up as some of the characters from the story, but not go crazy because that requires a lot of luggage. So for any of our listeners who are also Dropout fans, I'm gonna be dressing up as Barry Six. So for the people who get that reference, I love you. I will say there'll probably be a lot of K-pop Demon Hunter Halloween outfits this year, which I'm very excited to see.
Yeah.
So
something for girls and boys. We've seen the movie, right? I mean, us and everybody else on Earth. So I'm curious about this Vegas thing. I mean, do these guys, are they playing D&D while they make jokes?
Yes,
or is
so they're playing
stand-up?
No. Yeah, so they're all good. They're all good D&D players now, and they're also originally and still are great improvisers. And the campaign is run by someone who's an incredible storyteller and great improviser. And so the live shows are very much just like the wackiest versions of these stories, and they just sort of go along with it, and the crowd gets involved. And again, I was in Madison Square Garden, and a character rolled a natural 20, and 22,000 people lost their minds. It was great. I'm very excited to see it again. So,
but D&D games go on for a long time, don't they?
He's the DM, Brandley Mulligan, is very good at, like, he knows, they've done enough live shows now. He knows how to make it like 2 hours and 15 minutes, almost exactly. And then, you can tell with like 30 minutes left, he's already beginning to wrap it up. And they're incredibly entertaining and a lot of fun. I have no memory of what actually happened at any of the ones I've seen now. Like I said, I have to rewatch them when they release them, but they're great when I'm there.
Are you going to see the Sphere while you're there?
I would love to go in it. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'll definitely see it physically.
Sit through the Wizard of Oz, or
if it's still playing, I kind of want to. So
yeah, I think you should while you're there.
I can just yell at people about how Oz is terrifying and no one wants to live there. Calling back to our WriterCon conversation.
Getting back to I got it.
Pull it back.
WriterCon live episode.
Yes.
All right. Our interview today, we actually have two authors to talk to today, and that's Sam J. Miller and Mary Robinette Kuwal. They are both very well-established and successful science fiction writers. Sam has the Hugo, Mary has the Nebula, and she also has a Hugo, come to think of it. But now they're working on something together, except kind of, sort of, not totally together. It's a Saga Double. And if you don't know what that is, and I certainly didn't beforehand, then hang around and find out. because they're really fun people to talk to. All right, we'll get to that really soon. But first, the news. News story number one. Amazon agrees to pay a huge settlement over Amazon Prime cancellation practices. Usually stories about Amazon involve them getting money one way or another. But this time, Amazon has actually agreed to pay $2.5 billion to settle claims that it basically fooled millions of people into signing up for Prime membership and then made it very difficult for customers to cancel when they want it out. I don't know. I've got Prime. I never tried to cancel it, so I don't know. But I know there are other things that have become so difficult to cancel. It either takes all day or finally you just give up. In fact, there's one. I won't say that. Yeah, I will. It's PBS. I've been trying to cancel that. It's $5 a month, and I cannot get rid of it. Anyway,
You really want to take away money from public broadcasting now?
Well, that is a valid point, but there's a PBS app coming, so it's duplicative to have both, you know? Anyway, the settlement was announced, and it came after a jury's trial in Seattle had already begun. This all comes from an FTC lawsuit that was filed back in 2023, and it's about this online it's on online shopping service, and this antitrust case that they filed that affects about 200 million people, but all those people signing up for Prime, that comes to about $44 billion a year. But of course, Prime members are Amazon's best customers. They buy more stuff. They buy more often than people who aren't signed up. And so you'd think maybe Amazon would treat them better. But I guess Amazon just never wants to let them go. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done it. Laura, have you ever tried to cancel your Prime membership?
No, I have not. Actually, I share your Prime membership.
Oh, well, you don't have to, right? We'll just be Prime together.
Exactly. We Prime together. So, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I have had some other things that I have really struggled to actually cancel. You think you've declined it, you're signed up for it, you think that you're getting rid of it, it keeps popping back up. That's really frustrating.
Yeah. I should make a note, Jesse, because you're right about what you were saying about PBS, but what I loved most were the like the Ken Burns documentaries and stuff like that, and that's all on Amazon Prime now. Speaking of Amazon, all those, probably because of what's happening at PBS, all those have been ported onto Amazon. What do you think this business with Amazon Prime cancellation is all about, Jesse?
I mean, this is just one of 100 companies out there that, you know, Amazon didn't need to do this, right? But they were, and I've had Amazon Prime since grad school in like 2006 when I launched. So I never got tricked into a Prime, right? I've always just had it. But like, for example, if there are any of our listeners who like maybe say have their prescriptions at Walmart, I can tell you like the Walmart Plus thing pops up every time you go to the app, and I accidentally joined it once, right? Like we shouldn't be required to have to go through, you know, mazes and answer riddles to cancel subscriptions. If everything's going to be a subscription model now, we need some sort of law or regulation that gives us a one-click cancellation thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be a worthwhile law.
Like, you know, to get really nerdy, I just canceled my Xbox Game Pass because the price was about to go up $10 a month. And I was honestly surprised that one, it only took one click, and two, they didn't try to offer me a lower price to stay. I was kind of expecting the lower price to stay, and I did not get it. So now I'm just out. And I also have to buy games like a regular person. But that was actually easy. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Like this is what like the FTC is supposed to protect us from.
Yes, exactly. Well, maybe now they've done us some good. Okay, news story number 2. You've heard a lot of talk about TikTok and book talk on this podcast before, but this story is about TikTok and, wait for it, Spotify. Yes, they are together, Spotify and TikTok, launching a new hub, which will be called Big on Book Talk. And I mentioned this story, well, in part because it's likely to have a big impact on book sales and book authors, but also to tell the authors listening that if possible, this is something you should pursue. If you're on Book Talk, you know the drill. You scroll around and you tap, and suddenly your to be read list is overflowing with trendy things that look pretty good. It's not at all unlike Spotify. So, as is to music. So now Book Talk has become the Spotify for books, a cultural phenomenon, literally creating global bestsellers and connecting readers from every possible corner of the world. But even after you've added a recommendation to your wish list, well, then what? This is where the new Spotify hub comes into play, big on Book Talk. They're piloting a co-branded hub that turns your Book Talk wish list into a to-be-listened playlist. And through November, the community of book lovers in the United States can dive into this dedicated space and press play and discover all those audiobooks that you've been wanting to listen to are now taking over your feeds, right? It's a one-stop spot for all the trending audiobooks that are so good you won't even want to pause them. Jesse, I'll turn to you because I think, do I remember correctly, you use Spotify sometimes, right?
On occasion, yes.
For audiobooks or just music?
No, I mean, here's the thing. As hard as Spotify tries to get in audiobooks, the audiobook listener is not using Spotify. Like, they're two different people. Like, yeah. I wish them luck. I don't think this is going to be that useful.
Yeah. Well, Spotify has tried before to make a mark in the world of audiobooks, and I don't think it's really caught fire yet. So this is probably yet another try. Lara, the most important question for us is, how can we get our books on this hub? Any thoughts?
Have a book that people go crazy for on TikTok.
Yeah, and then somehow Spotify it. But yeah, of course, if people are going crazy for your book on TikTok, that may be all you need, but
it's probably a pretty good driving factor.
Yeah, I would imagine so. All right, let's turn to Craft Corner. This time around for our Craft Corner segment, we're going to hear from longtime WriterCon friend Betsey Kulakowski. She's the author of the Veritas Codex series. Try and say that 3 times fast. Mm-hmm. Veritas Codex. And the eighth book in her science fiction fantasy adventure series is on the horizon. Start reading the other 7 so you'll be ready for the Sultan's Stone, all right? Today, she's going to talk about a subject she knows very well, or the combination of 2 subjects, world building and character, and how the 2 are related. Take it away, Betsey.
Craft Corner.
Hi, this is Betsey Kulakowski, best-selling author of the Veritas Codex paranormal thriller series, and I'm here with today's Craft Corner. One of the most important things that I have learned in writing thrillers is that character and world building really aren't separate. In fact, they feed each other. A character doesn't exist in a vacuum. The world they live in shapes who they are, how they think, and the choices they make. For example, when I'm writing Dr. Lauren Grayson in the Veritas Codex series, it's really her courage and her curiosity that I think make her a great protagonist. But those traits mean more because of the dangerous and mysterious worlds that she steps into. The settings are ancient ruins, hidden chambers, secret societies, but those aren't just backdrops. They're there to test her, to tempt her, and to reveal her strengths and flaws that she didn't even know she had. When I approach world building, I ask myself, what would challenge my characters most? If the environment is hostile, unfamiliar, or even morally complex, then every decision matters more. At the same time, I also want to think about the character's past and how that shapes how they see the world. A scientist like Lauren might notice details that others miss, but she's also a skeptic, so she might even resist believing what's right there in front of her. And that interplay is where tension lives. When readers say they love a character, it's often because the world forced them to grow in a way that was believable. And when they say they feel immersed in the world, it's usually because the characters are experiencing it through really authentic emotions. So the takeaway for writers is this: build your world around the cracks in your character, then let that world push them until something breaks or they transform. When character and world collide, that's where the spark of story ignites. Keep writing.
Thank you, Betsey Kulakowski. And remember, her new book, The Sultan's Stone, the 8th book in the Veritas Codex series, you could order today, and I think you should. For now, let's talk to our interview guests, and that's Sam J. Miller and Mary Robinette Kuwal. Sam J. Miller and Mary Robinette Kuwal, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting us. It's a real honor.
Well, we have a traditional first question on this show, and so I guess we'll let you both answer one at a time. Mary Robinette, I'll go to you first. If you could offer writers one piece of advice, what would it be? I know you could probably do a million, but pick one.
It would be to trust your own taste. You have been honing your taste for decades as a reader for your entire life, and you can trust that when you're writing. So don't try to write to someone else's taste, write for your own taste.
Yeah, sounds like good advice to me. Sam, how about you? What would you throw out there?
Yeah, so that is great advice. And mine is sort of the opposite, but not. It feels like it is, but it's not. I feel like the thing that was hardest for me to learn, and that therefore the thing that I would advise, that I would give to folks, is that community is everything. Like building community, bonding with other writers, making friends with other writers, understanding that other writers are not your competition. They're your allies. They're your support. Reading very widely among your peers and getting to know their work and sort of building with them is going to serve you so well, both as like a person who has a career in writing, but also like in the practical business of writing. So absolutely trust your gut and know that you're amazing. And also know that, other people are going to help you get better.
I like that. That's terrific advice. Okay, I want to hear about how both of you got started writing. So I'll change it up and go back to you this time first. Back to you first. That doesn't really follow, but you know what I mean. Sam, how'd you get started writing?
Yeah, so my origin story as a writer is telling lies so people would like me. I was very bad at sports in elementary school and didn't have any friends. But I went to a very secluded, isolated, rural farm school where very few of my classmates had TVs, let alone like watched movies. So I would tell people I had seen horror movies that I hadn't actually seen, and people would be like, "Oh, tell us about them." And so I would, I found that if I stretched it out over many days, like from recess to recess, they would keep coming back and bring their friends. And so I hadn't seen The Shining, but I had this whole weeks-long saga of the movie The Shining based only on reading the back of the video box at the video store. Telling lies so people would like me is what I did in second grade and what I'm still doing now.
I wish I could have seen the reaction of some of those friends of yours down the road when they actually watched the movie and they were like, "This is not anything like what Sam described."
I wonder, but I did when my first novel was published, somebody did comment like, "Oh, I remember you telling stories in second grade at recess, so I'm glad you're still telling stories."
That's nice. Do you suppose there are any publishing writers who are actually good at sports in grade school? I mean, who exactly would that be?
Yes, there are.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember who, but I have run across them. And it's always a little bit confusing because they are deeply into sports ball and it's like
there's always
I know that it's allowed.
I know
it's allowed, but
that follow sports, but that's not the same thing as having done it well.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mary Robinette, how about you? What's your origin story?
So my origin story, I don't remember a time that I didn't write.
Yeah.
One of my very early memories, I know that I'm in kindergarten because I went to a different school for kindergarten, and I wrote my mother a story for Mother's Day about a spaceship that was. It looked like a bearded iris, so the tongue came down, and the beard part was the welcome mat. So like that's one of my really early memories, and I was one of those kids who wanted to do everything. So I was writing, I was in theater, I was in art, and then it just kind of continued. So I think I've always been a storyteller, but I don't remember. Yeah, I just don't remember a time I wasn't.
Yeah, I understand that too. My mother claims I was telling people I was going to be a writer when I was 7, which, in a small town in Oklahoma would have been an unusual thing. But it's my mom, so we have to believe her, right? You two, this is an unconventional setup since you're both very well established, award-winning science fiction authors. Sam has won a Nebula. Mary Robinette has won a Hugo. And a Nebula. Okay, that's just showing off, really, at that point. But now the two of you, this is what's so wild. The two of you are teaming up, except not exactly, because if I understand it correctly, you both contributed separate science fiction crime stories, right? How did this project come about?
Well, we have the same agent,
That helps.
Seth Fishman. And Saga has been doing this really interesting thing where they've been experimenting with the doubles, which isn't that great?
That's so fun.
And so they're experimenting with them to see how they work. They're both yours now.
I'll allow it.
You have 2
thank you.
copies for fairness. I get it.
Yes. So they're experimenting with this format as a way to celebrate their 10th anniversary. And they've done 3 versions of this. One is an anthology edited by Ellen Datlow. One side is day, the other is night. The other is a single author, Stephen Graham Jones. Same, but 2 different books. And then they were like, well, what happens if we combine 2 writers? And so Seth was basically like, how do you feel about space noir? And I was like, I love it. What about you, Sam? How did that happen with you?
Well, so Joe Monty, our editor at Saga, had actually passed on Red Star Hustle. I had fully grieved its loss and decided and realized it was never going to be published. And then Joe reached out to Seth maybe a year later to say, you know what, is that still available? Because we're doing this new thing. And I am actually a huge fan of the doubles format. I have been a haunter of used bookstores forever. And so I had a lot of it used to be a very common publishing format. Ace Publishing used to do these doubles, but Tor revived the line in the 80s, I think. So I had a lot of them and I really loved the idea, both because I like getting 2 books for one and because they were often 2 different authors who were going to give you 2 really different things. And so I think I'm shocked that this isn't more of a thing in publishing. Yeah. And I'm really excited to be that we're sort of part of this launch line of evaluating and revisiting it. Although now it's a lot of pressure because I really want this to do well for my selfish reasons and because I want everyone to start doing doubles.
Yeah, that'd be okay. Everybody, you heard this. Sam's been waiting at least a year for this. Everybody go out and buy this book right now. Right, Lara?
Yes, absolutely. I would like to see this take off too. I think that is super fun. I don't think I was aware of doubles, but now that I've seen this, I'm like, yes, I want to get behind this too. So I'd like to hear about both stories. Sam, can you please tell us about the Red Star Hustle, if I can get the words out?
Yeah. So Red Star Hustle is about a very far future outer space rent boy who finds himself framed for murder of one of his famous filmmaker clients. And so he is on the run trying to clear his name while a badass bounty hunter is trying to catch up with him, and she doesn't really think he's guilty, but she has a big secret she's trying to keep. And if she fails to bring in her bounty, her mother, who's the boss of her syndicate, is going to like start scrutinizing and might expose the sort of lie that she's been living. And so it's sort of like a, and morally ambivalent but very dogged pursuit that she's on. And along the way, he falls in love with a bad boy resistance fighter, and shenanigans ensue. There's lots of fun. I really wanted to write something that was just like fun and pulpy and takes place so far in the future that like none of the issues, well, not none, but many of the issues that plague us as humans here and now have been left long behind. So this was just me trying to be like fun. And of course it did end up being like really sad and heartbreaking, because that's just where I end up no matter what I do. But yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's fun until it's sad and heartbreaking, right?
It's fun while it's sad and heartbreaking. I have read this and I am a big fan of it. And yes, he can make you laugh while you are sobbing. It's a real skill.
Okay, now I have to read
It
it.
is.
And Mary Robinette, can you tell us about Apprehension?
Yeah, so Apprehension was me exploring the world of Hitchcock. I was curious to see whether or not I could incorporate a lot of the things that Hitchcock was doing with suspense in space. So this is the story of Bonnie Jean. She's a 78-year-old grandmother. She's a neurosurgeon. She's on vacation with her son-in-law and grandson after the death of her child. And they are they're trying to forget that loss. But they've gone back to a planet where she was a soldier 40 years ago. And more specifically, she was a special ops soldier. And then, we also have shenanigans ensuing in ours too, because she gets accidentally wrapped up in a terrorist organization's plot when they kidnap her grandson. And so she has to pull up old training that she hasn't used in 40 years with a body that is not the body she had then.
Sounds like a great. You said there was humor. Is there heartbreak?
Yes,
Or is that
mine
giving
has
away too much.
No, mine has heartbreak. But there's it's not all darkness. I joke that mine is Hitchcock in space and that Sam's is Raymond Chandler in space.
Okay.
I love that. I am a huge. Oh, sorry.
No, good.
I'm a huge Hitchcock fan, and I have to say that Mary Robinette does Hitchcock so well in this book. There's so many beats that are like the secret whispered by a dying person, the like grief, the loss before that like overshadows the story that happened before the story starts. It's so good and so exciting.
That's great.
It sounds amazing.
Thanks.
So, yes.
Sam, I saw in your bio that you have what I would consider the two essential claims to fame for a modern successful author. First, your work has been scraped by AI. And second, your books have been banned in Florida. And by the way, me too. You're not alone on both counts.
Nice.
You care to count on either one? Care to comment on either one, I should say.
No, this is just like what a crummy dystopia we are in right now. It's just like this is the best, no, it's a lot of people sort of wear being banned as like a badge of honor, which on some level I do. But it's also just like it's just there's jokes to be made. There's humor to be had in it. But just like, the fact that like, this sort of like what people call I've seen people call generative AI money laundering for intellectual property, just like the way that like people's creative work is being strip mined and like being like thrown into a stew and then like being like spooned back out to people for other people's profit is like just so infuriating. And the fact that like the books of mine that have been banned were queer young adult stories, and the idea that LGBTQ young people in parts of this country just like aren't able to like see themselves and read about themselves and see stories that validate and empower them is so infuriating and so saddening. So one tries to find the humor and the badassness in it, but it's just a fundamentally crummy and dismal dystopia, I guess.
Yeah. At least you got some rationale. When I saw one of my books was on that list of, like 600 books that have been banned in Florida, I thought, why that one? I've written like 60 some books, and I'm like, what's different? I don't think it belongs in a kindergarten, but why that would be banned from a real library, I don't know. Mary Robinette, you've authored the Lady Astronaut series, right? And
Yes.
You have a podcast called Writing Excuses. So we should do a podcast swap sometime, I'm just saying.
We should, actually.
But what I found most interesting, you're a professional puppeteer, is that right?
That is correct. That's
Tell us about
why
that. How'd that happen?
Again, I was one of those kids who wanted to do everything. And so I had done puppetry as a hobby in high school, and I was doing it in college, and was in the college production of Little Shop of Horrors as the giant man-eating plant.
You were the puppet. Okay, great.
Yep. And a professional puppeteer came up at the end of the show, and I was like, wait, people give you money to do this? And basically changed career choices on the spot. So I went off and I interned with her. I interned at the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, and then went on to work for about 20 years doing this.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a wild ride. It's a lot of fun.
I remember taking my darling daughter when she was fairly young because she loved musicals. So I took her to see Little Shop. She was terrified. I kept saying,
yes,
it's just a big puppet, but it didn't matter.
No.
That is.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Sam?
That is my favorite musical. I love it so much. Mary Robinette, were you the voice as well as the puppet performance?
No. It's not actually possible to do the voice and the puppet.
You've been around too much.
Even if you were physically fit enough to do it, miking you and not have it picking up all of the sounds of the puppet.
Amazing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I've done 7 different productions of it. I am addicted to it. I would do it again were I given an opportunity.
So fun.
And periodically I apply. I'm like, there's an audition. It's always like in the wrong city or
My
something.
undergraduate degree was in musical theater performance. So I love that. I love that we have that passion in common. So back to the writing. We always talk some about process. Sam, would you be willing to tell us how you approach a new project? Do you outline? Do you just work from notes? Or do you just sit down and start writing?
The interesting thing, now that this is my 5th published novel, and I've got like 70 something published short stories under my belt. And the interesting thing at this point in my life as a writer is that it changes, right? That my process now was not my process in my 20s or my 30s. I'm now in a place where things are bubbling. It's always been that ideas bubble up, and I have sort of like things bouncing around in my brain and notebooks about like, what about this superpower? Or what if this point changed in history? Like, how would that change history as we know it? So it's always been that the ideas would bubble up, and now I'm in a place where they're sort of fighting for attention. It used to be like there was one clear thing of like, this is the novel you have to write next, and now it's kind of like, these 2 things want to be my next novel, and they're like, I'm sort of like seeing them both in secret and being like, don't talk to the other one about this. So yeah, it's weird, and also sometimes being like, no, don't get so serious. This is just for fun. We're just playing around. So yeah, my process now is pretty like me trying not to write another novel. And to develop, to let things simmer and sort of explore themselves and figure them out. Yeah.
I think this might be the first time that I've ever been told the process is to try not to write. But hey, it's working for you. So I guess, yay, good job. Mary Robinette, what does your usual writing day look like?
Much like Sam, it changes a lot because I am essentially a professional freelancer, right? There's writing, but I also have these other income streams. I have puppets. Right. I'm an audiobook narrator. I teach writing. So there are all of these different demands. Plus, as you know, once you have a book out, you have to do all of the publicity dog and pony show, which is enjoyable as this conversation is, but it takes time away. So I don't have a normal writing schedule. And one of the things that I've been working on, over the last 2 years, I think, is trying to work with my brain a little bit more. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 50, which in hindsight, like so much of my life makes so much more sense.
It's so relatable.
And so it also explains why a lot of the writing advice didn't work for me because my brain wasn't wired that way. So I've been trying to work on like learning how to trigger hyperfocus on the thing I actually want to hyperfocus on, and how to come out of it smoothly. So those are the things that I'm working on. I'm realizing that I'm much more of a binge writer than a slow and steady. It's like, oh, this explains why NaNoWriMo was where I wrote my novels. So like in hindsight, there's a lot of stuff that's clearer. So for me, a lot of times what I do is I will poke at a story like Sam, making notes, sort of coalescing. The less of the story I understand, the more of it I have to outline. And the more of it I understand, the less I have to outline, the more I can just discover things. And so writing for me is usually a mix of those two things. I believe that every writer has to plan and has to discover. It's just where in the process you do each of those things varies.
Hey, this has been a blast. But before we wrap it up, can I ask both of you, what should we expect to see from you next? What are you working on now, as the case may be? Sam, what's next from you?
Well, I fought it for a while, but the thing I did just finish a werewolf novel. Which I've always loved werewolves, but have never found my way into them. But Stephen Graham Jones, who also wrote one of the Saga Doubles, wrote my favorite werewolf novel, which is Mongrels, which was the first time that I was like, oh, you could use werewolves to tell stories in ways that I hadn't really been aware of or hadn't thought about before. So, who knows what will happen with it, but that is what ideally, that will be the next thing that goes out into the world in some form.
Mary Robinette, how about you?
My next thing is actually a translation. I translate out of Icelandic, and I have translated a novella for Hildur Knutsdóttir, which is called Dead Weight, and that comes out in 2026. And it is, she's a brilliant writer. And it's a psychological horror novella, which is really, really chilling, and phenomenal. And it has one of the single best chapters I've ever read.
Wow. What's the title, or do you know yet? Since
Dead Weight.
Oh, you said that before. All right. How many times have I asked this question, Lara? This is the first time somebody said, well, I'm translating an Icelandic novel.
We've had so many firsts in this podcast. I love
kidding.
it. Love it.
We got to get you guys back sometime. This has really been fascinating. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure.
Just a few parting words. We've posted all the information about next year's WriterCon Cruise, which takes place in April. This time we're touring the Eastern Caribbean and seeing some sights I've never seen before, much less on one of these cruises. A lot of fun stops. We leave from Fort Lauderdale. It's 8 days this year, so it's a little bit longer. It gives us a little bit more time to work with writers and aspiring writers. We won't schedule sessions when the boat is in port, I know you want to go check out the tropical vistas and whatnot, but when we're at sea, and there's a lot of that, we will have over 20 hours of writing instructions. Some of it talks, some of it small group, one-on-one. We're bringing Catherine Sands, a fantastic agent who has sold books for many people, including me. She'll be on board, and she will happily talk to every single participant in the program. So don't miss out. Plan to be on the cruise with us March 7th through 15th. Visit the WriterCon website for more information. I'll put a link in the show notes. All right? And if you haven't joined the WriterCon Facebook group yet, hey, do it now. Do it today and join this great community of writers posting almost every day. Stay in the loop in between podcasts and know what's happening in the world of books and publishing. I'll put a link to that in the show notes too, but really all you need to do is go to Facebook and search for WriterCon. All right? Until next time, people, keep writing. And remember, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. See you next time.